Today we're starting 11.1, day 1, and we're going to start talking about graphing linear equations. Let's start off by defining linear equation. A linear equation is just going to be an equation whose solutions fall on a line on the coordinate plane. So, for example, if you look at the coordinate plane that I have drawn below, you have your x axis and your y axis. And we're going to learn how to graph a line today, but what it's going to look like is a straight line going across the axis. So there's going to be different types of lines. So something that you might see, for example, is y equals 3x minus 6. So we've talked about slope, so we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And we're also going to learn about the y-intercept today. Let's define slope again. Slope, remember, is the steepness of a line. It can be positive or negative. And it is always going to be attached to the x in the equation. So if you look down here below, this 4 right here is your slope. And this is never going to be written as a decimal. We will always write it as a fraction or a whole number. Okay, now let's talk about the y-intercept. This is where the point crosses the y-axis. It's also called your b. And if you write this as an ordered pair, it would be 0, some number. So if you look back down at this example again, your b, or your y-intercept, is 3. So if we were to write that as an ordered pair, we would say 0, 3. So let's graph the line y equals 2x minus 3. We're going to start off by always doing SAO again, so I'm going to make that plus a negative 3. Then I'm going to identify my m, or my slope, and what my b, or my y-intercept is. So when I do this, my slope is going to be 2, or you can write this as a fraction of 2 over 1. You probably would like to see it as 2 over 1. That might be a little bit more helpful for you. And your b is negative 3, or you can think of this as 0, negative 3. So what we're going to do is we graph the b first. So I'm going to graph 0, negative 3. So I'm going to start on my axis, and then I'm going to go 0, and then I'm going to move down 3. So I'll be at this point right here. Okay. Something that will help you, if you think of a coordinate plane, and if I put the letter B over it, it would fall here. Like, think of like the stick on the B. So it should always be on the y-axis. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to use slope. So from the point you're at, you're going to go up 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to go to the right 1. Then I'm going to go up 2 over 1 again. I can even go down 2 over 1. Now remember, we have a positive slope, so we should have a line moving upwards. So you first graph your b, then you use your slope to find at least 3 other points. So let's try another one. Let's do y equals 2/3 x. So let's again start by identifying our m and our b. In this case, our m is 2/3. And since that's written as a fraction already, we'll leave it as that. Since there's nothing written behind the x, that means we don't have a b, so we could just say it's 0. So when we go to graph this, we're going to start at 0. I'm actually going to make this negative 2/3 x. So make this slope here negative 2/3. So I'm going to start at 0. And now again, I'm going to use this slope. So this tells me up or down, and this tells me how many to go over. Since this is negative, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right still 3. So 1, 2, 3. I can go down 2 again, over 3. If I want to keep in this line, if you notice this line, I need it to go up this way. So I'm going to go up 2 to the left 3 to continue that line. There are my 3 other points. Draw your line and include the arrows at the end, and there is your line. Okay, let's try y equals negative 3. Now what you're going to do is notice that we have no x. So our m, or our slope, is 0 because there's nothing there. Our b, oops, would still be negative 3, or 0, negative 3. So if we want, we can go ahead and graph that 0 and then move down 3 and make your point. Now, when you get something like y equals negative 3, something that really helps me to remember how to make this line is something that I call HOI. And all this means is this 0 here in the middle, this O, stands for 0 slope. The y stands for y equals a number, or you can think your y-intercept. And h stands for horizontal line. So what you need to do is when you create your line, after you plot your point, all you're going to do is make a horizontal line right through it, and there is your linear equation. Let's try one more. Let's try x equals 5. Now, this one I have another acronym just like HOI, but it's called VUX. V-U-X. And you learned another type of slope. We had a positive slope, a negative slope, a 0 slope, and an undefined slope. So that U stands for undefined. X is going to stand for x equals a number, or you can think of this as your x-intercept. And just like the y-intercept, this is where it passes the x-axis. And then the V stands for vertical line. So it's very similar to the other one. If I think about my x equaling a number, or the x-intercept, we could say that this is 5, 0. So I'm going to graph that first. Now all I need to do is make my vertical line through that point, and there's my linear equation. So I know that there were a lot of examples. Make sure that you have all 4 graphed in your notes, and we are going to go through them tomorrow with our Hippo book. So at this point, you can go ahead and do your exit slip.